Luck doesn't exist, at least not when it comes to why certain people do well in life while other people don't. Luck isn't the cause. The real reason why certain people consistently win at life while others consistently lose has nothing to do with things like genetics, upbringing, or opportunity, contrary to popular belief. It comes down to one thing, and I'll be sharing that one thing in this video. Change this single thing, and you'll change literally everything in your life. Here's the thing. If you don't understand and apply what I'm teaching you and trying to share with you today, you'll spend your entire life trying to change your external circumstances while the real problem remains untouched. You'll exhaust yourself working harder, jumping from strategy to strategy, relationship to relationship, diet to diet, all while continuing to repeat the same patterns over and over and over again. You'll be trapped in a cycle of temporary progress and wins, followed by inevitable regression back to your baseline. Don't skip this video or zone out. Take notes and leave them below in the comments if you can. This is literally the difference between a life of fulfillment and a life of frustration. I've spent over a decade studying this one principle I'll share today and applying it to transform multiple areas of my own life. From going from basically anorexic and scrawny to fit and super strong, from earning $8 an hour to over $250 an hour, and from being a lazy stoner to building several successful businesses. I've also shared these principles with over 100 of my past students and helped them to transform in similar ways that I did. Hey family, welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, I'm Chris. I earned my first million by 25 in business, and now I'm documenting the lessons learned on my journey to $1 million a year doing what I love. On this channel, I like to share simple, proven strategies around things like mindset, productivity, manifestation, and business that have helped me and hundreds of other people win. So if you want to finally get out of your way and start winning at the level you know you're capable of, be sure to subscribe. So to kick off today's video, how to reinvent yourself, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever wondered why some people win and other people lose? Of course, winning and losing are subjective, but I would say that everyone wants some, if not all of the following: to be happy, to be financially free, to feel sexy and energetic, to live a badass life on their terms. I mean, don't you constantly want to be making progress and feeling fulfilled in your life? Isn't that what it's all about, regardless of how that shows up? So the question is, why do some people have those results while other people don't? I had to find out. Here's what I found. Some people are happy. They're living abundant lives. They have great relationships and are in great shape year-round. But then there are other people at the same time who are miserable, living paycheck to paycheck, stuck in toxic relationships, and they look and feel super unhealthy. There are some people that others look at and say, oh, they're lucky. They just seem to always be winning in life. And at the same time, these same people call themselves unlucky and they just can't seem to catch a break. They say things like, oh, fuck my life or whatever. We've all seen it or heard of the stories. There seems like there's these people, or maybe you have a person in mind who just seems to effortlessly attract success, while someone else with similar or even better resources can't catch a break. They just seem to not get it together. One person loses 50 pounds only to gain it all back, while another transforms permanently and now they're this fit person. Or the example of the lottery winners, or even like professional athletes, they get all this money and they still end up broke, while another person from poverty builds sustainable wealth for lifetimes. So I just want to make it clear, these patterns show up across every area of our life: our health, our wealth, our relationships, and our happiness. And contrary to popular belief, these outcomes aren't random or, as I mentioned, based on luck. There's one fundamental psychological principle at work here that explains why some of these people consistently win while other people consistently lose, regardless of their circumstances or the odds stacked against them. So are some people really just more fortunate and blessed than others? Probably not. Was it because they were raised a certain way, or they carry a certain gene that makes them one way or another? It's actually none of those things. The difference between a thriving and fulfilled life and one filled with struggle and chaos comes down to this simple thing. It's the image of yourself in your mind. What if I told you this was the one cause to every effect in your life? It determines the results you get, the life you live. It's also known as your self-image or identity. So again, that's the one thing, your self-image or your identity. Maybe you've heard one of my favorite sayings, everywhere you go, there you are. The way that you look at yourself determines the way everything outside of you looks. The problem is that most people simply aren't aware of that self-image. They're not aware of the character that they're playing on the world stage. There's a quote I want to share. It's like everyone tells a story about themselves inside of their head, always, all the time. That story makes you what you are. We build ourselves out of that story. That quote comes from Patrick Rothfuss. So just to make it super clear, your self-image, also known again as your identity, controls your life, just as your mind automatically controls your breathing and your heartbeat. You don't have to think about it. It just simply happens in the background. There's also a universal law that explains this concept, and it's called the law of correspondence. And that states that your outer world, reality, is a direct reflection of your inner world, which is your internal state. So this law makes it super easy to identify what is it that's going on internally that's causing the external circumstances in my life. There's another quote. The outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to his inner state. People do not attract that which they want. They attract that which they are. That comes from James Allen and As a Man Thinketh. Incredible book. I recommend you check it out. How this works is your self-image is stored in your subconscious mind. This means it isn't something that you are aware of or that's really conscious to you. That is, until you do the work like we're doing today to make it conscious. And the second you change this internal self-image, everything outside of you begins to change. To rebuild this identity is to rebuild our entire life. So real quick, you might be thinking, okay, well, if this is even true, which it is, by the way, what is my self-image? Well, if you're wondering what your self-image is, it's not that hard to figure out. All you have to do is look at the results in the various areas of your life. How much money do you make? Do you live paycheck to paycheck, or are you becoming wealthy? How are your relationships? Do you have loving, fulfilling, trusting, and healthy relationships? Or are you getting cheated on, being unfaithful yourself, or being abused in your relationships? What does your body look like? Are you in shape? Great shape even? Or do you get squeamish at the thought of taking your shirt off or clothes off in front of other people? Or even a mirror? How does your life feel? Does it feel like you're just going through the motions? Oh, same shit, different day. Or does it feel like you're tapped into the universe, feeling blessed and living with that sense of purpose? So that's the question. What are those results in your life? And that will tell you, how is your self-image impacting your life? One of the biggest mistakes that I've made and I see other people make that I've taught, and I'd say everybody makes, is trying to change something outside of themselves versus something on the inside. We try to change our income. We try to change our relationships. We try to change the way our body looks. We try to change other people or the way the world works, but it's never going to happen. Like that is a fool's game. Without changing how we view ourselves on the inside first, you can't change what you see on the outside. The world is a reflection or a mirror, and that reflection you see back is yourself. Aldous Huxley, I think, said there's only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and this is your own self. Now, here's the thing. I'm not suggesting that external circumstances are completely irrelevant or that they don't matter. Of course they do. We're all dealt different cards in life and experience unique challenges throughout our upbringing or later in our lives. But at a certain point, we have to take responsibility for our life. And more specifically, we have to take responsibility for our self-image. So what I'm really saying is that your self-image acts like a thermometer that regulates what you allow yourself to achieve, experience, and maintain in your life. Just like a thermometer on the wall. If your life gets too hot, guess what? It's going to kick on the air conditioner and cool things down. And if things get too hard or rough, it's going to heat things back up to bring them back to your baseline, whatever that is. So again, without addressing your self-image, external changes won't stick. But when we change our self-image, we can overcome crazy external obstacles and actually create lasting change, which is what we want. I think it's super important to note as well, what I am teaching here is something that, as I mentioned, I have not only studied, but practiced for years. Hell, I'm using it right now as I make this video by acting as the version of me who already makes $100,000 a month, who already reaches millions of people with my work. And I've also helped countless other people use a process that I created that's based around the self-image, like my client Dylan, who at the time of filming this is on track to beat his best month by at least $5,000 to $10,000. Or Hayden, who's about to take his marketing agency past $2 million to $3 million And since we've done this process together, he's added an additional $40,000 of monthly recurring revenue, along with attracting badass A-player employees to his team. So now, with all that out of the way, allow me to teach you what you came here for, and that's how to reinvent yourself. So you might still be thinking, okay, this sounds pretty solid, but can you please just teach me how to update my self-image? And the answer is yes, I can. Here's how to reinvent yourself so you can win more in life. The first step is environment. So I want you to imagine this is you, and all around you are other people. There's also objects. So like maybe like, I'm not a great artist in this way, but let's just say this is a car, even though it looks like a cowboy hat with wheels. Then you also have like books, let's say little books. You also have like the town you live in, or the country you live in. You get the idea, your environment. What I want to make very clear is that your environment shapes your self-image in ways you don't even realize. You've probably heard that old saying or adage, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I certainly agree. And how I would say it is that your results are a reflection to the standards kept by the people you surround yourself with. And even further, to the environments you surround yourself with. So the first step to cleaning up our environment and therefore improving our self-image is to upgrade the people that we associate with. I know this is going to be harsh, but stop associating as much as possible with people who don't match your ideal self-image. So if they represent the things you don't want to be, don't spend time with them. And start associating with people who have a self-image that is comparable to who you want to be. And then secondly, be mindful of where you spend your time, as in like your literal physical location you're in. Your physical surroundings, so like the objects that you surround yourself with, or like the cultures you surround yourself with, maybe it's like your state or your town as said. And in general, your physical surroundings program your expectations and reflect your self-image. So you want to upgrade the places that you frequent, and you will be upgraded based on who you believe yourself to be. So as an example, I moved myself from where I'm from, Utah, out here to Texas for this very reason. So I could upgrade my associations and also break the patterns of my old identity. So to make this super clear, let me just ask you something. Let's say I was a drug addict, or let's just use a drug addict as an example. If a drug addict wants to quit drugs, does it make sense for him to be at the trap house every day with other drug addicts? No. So here's your action steps with this particular step, environment. You want to identify people who embody your desired self-image. And then you want to find ways to spend time with those type of people. Join communities, hire coaches, whatever it takes. Get yourself in the room with those people. And then you want to slowly remove yourself from those old environments that reinforce your old self-image. Lastly, you want to even redesign your physical spaces to reflect who you're becoming. So this little office I put together reflects more of who I'm becoming than who I used to be. And that leads me to our second strategy, which is act as if. So for act as if, I'm just gonna make this super simple. I'm gonna draw another stick figure. This is you today, right? And then this is your ideal self, the person you want to become, or the self-image that you're hoping to basically step into. So technically speaking, those both exist right now. So you want to begin acting as if you are already this person. You're literally stepping into this new version of yourself. Just to make this really simple, I'll give you an analogy. Imagine you're cast for a movie role. Okay, so you're the star of this new movie that's coming out. And the director, he tells you or she tells you who this new character is, how they speak, how they dress, how they think, and all the other little details that you need to become that new character on the big screen. So, of course, you're the actor. You begin to practice acting as if you are that new character. And the thing is, we've all seen famous actors portray a variety of characters at an elite level, like Christian Bale, Patrick Bateman and Batman and all these other people. They literally take on the mannerisms, the style, and the belief systems of those characters they play for a short period of time. So my question is, why can't you do the same thing, but just long term? So in order to make this stick, you can do things like make radical new changes to shake up your life and your self-image. You can also adopt new behaviors that match this new identity. Increase your level of activity. So for example, let's say I'm trying to take on this identity of this athlete. Maybe for 6 weeks, I need to do a crazy gym routine just to kind of break through my old habits and step more aggressively into this new identity. And then lastly, start ingesting new information. So what would your ideal self listen to, read, watch, and so on? And the thing is, the best way you could go about this is to literally design a new you. So write in incredible detail. What does this new version of me look like? How do they speak? How do they walk? What kind of clothes do they wear? How do other people respond to them? Like, you want to basically, like if you were playing a video game, create a new character. And it's not so much about like, oh, don't love who you currently are. Like, you're always going to be you in some way, shape, or form. Your essence is still going to be there, but you get to like custom build out this new character. And then again, start practicing being the new you any chance you get. So if you're currently like shy and awkward, this new version of you isn't. So when you go into a room, ask yourself, how would the ideal version of me act in this moment? Maybe you'd walk up and be like, what's up? You know, shake somebody's hand or holler at a lady or whatever that is, right? Just start practicing this new identity. Just like that Hollywood actor, pretend there's a camera crew following you around, and you can't break character. You got to keep it locked in. And the more that you do that, the more it's going to become second nature to be this new person. So quick reminder, what got you here, meaning your current life and circumstances and results, is not going to get you there. You literally must become a new person, or at the very least, a new version of yourself to attract a new life. So by the way, if you've enjoyed this video so far, be sure to check out my weekly newsletter down below, where I write about topics like this each and every week and send them directly to your inbox. I've also got some other links you can look at down below if you're interested in working with me in some capacity or just want to learn more about who I am and what I'm about. Now, let's cover our last two strategies. So strategy 3 is very simple. It's focus. So you probably heard that analogy about the windshield. I'm going to draw like a car's windshield and then the rear view mirror. Okay, so this is rear view. It's really small. And then we have windshield. So you've heard about the windshield being bigger than the rear view for a reason. We have to stay focused on the things in front of us more than the things behind us. In another word, we need to be focused more on who we're becoming and this ideal version of ourselves than who we used to be. It's like that saying, where focus goes, energy flows. And one of my teachers, Bob Proctor, had this incredible quote. He said, the reason people don't get what they want is because they're too mentally and emotionally involved in what they don't want. So again, what we focus on expands. If you only focus on the rear view mirror, not only are you distracted from what the potential and like the opportunities and different things ahead of you are, but you might crash the car. In other words, you might just loop these old destructive patterns or this old behavior that doesn't serve you, rather than putting all of your attention looking out the windshield and stepping into this new ideal version of yourself. So this one's really simple. Here's a few action items if you're taking notes, which you should be. You must do 2 things. Focus I'm talking all of your energy, as much as you possibly can, on what you want to be, do, and have moving forward, not on the things you no longer want or the person you no longer are. And then the second thing is remove the things from your life that no longer serve you if you're aware they're not going to allow you to go where you want to go. And whenever you find yourself getting caught up in the current reality and your current self-image, simply shift your focus. Again, remember, they make windshields bigger than rear views for a reason. It's nice to have for reference, but we got to stay focused on the road ahead. Let's talk about strategy 4, and that's change your story. So I'm going to just draw a little book here like I did over there a second ago. So you have this story about yourself, about your life, and it's basically running the show for you. It's determining who you become, what you do, the things you have, the results you get. And what I'm telling you to do is don't just be a character in the book anymore. Become the author. I'm going to draw a really shitty pencil. Okay? You want to grab the pen, pretend this is a hand, bam. You want to grab the pen back. The stories that you tell yourself become your reality, especially the stories you tell yourself about yourself. Anything that you say after I am, you will become. Words are like powerful spells. Have you ever wondered why we call it spelling? For example, have you ever heard of abracadabra? And no, I'm not talking about that wizard shit that Harry Potter says. I'm talking about the original root word that abracadabra came from, which is avracadabra. And it comes from the language Aramaic, if I'm saying that right. And it literally means, I will create as I speak, or as I speak, I create. So when you speak, you are casting a spell. And on top of that, your brain is constantly narrating your life in the background. Those narratives and that self-talk that's in the background becomes self-fulfilling prophecies. We can't escape the story. So naturally, when we create new evidence and we speak new things into our life and about ourselves, then we will then create new stories. So rather than just being a character in your current story, take the pen back and start writing a new story about your life, about yourself. Become the main character. So here's some action steps for changing your story. First, you want to identify what is the current story that I'm telling about myself and my life, or stories in general. Then you want to create new empowering narratives that feel believable, like small shifts, small tweaks, little edits and highlights to your story that you feel like you can stick with. And the last one's really important. You want to create, look for, and celebrate. That's so important. Any evidence that you are making progress and that your story is changing, and do that as often as possible, because our mind is constantly looking for proof. It wants to be validated. So when you give it a new story, a new narrative, and then you show it forcefully proof by you celebrating wins and acknowledging changes, it's going to start to play into that new story rather than the old one. So as I mentioned, you're only limited by the stories that you tell yourself. Make them more like fairy tales and like you're the hero of your story rather than a nightmare. There's also a really powerful quote I want to share from the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. And he says, "The only thing standing between you and your goals is the bullshit story that you tell yourself as to why you can't achieve them." That's a great example. By the way, if you want to check out a few of the books and resources that taught me what I'm sharing with you here today, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, great book. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, another great book. And The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, another great book. So as we discussed today, this is how you reinvent yourself. Your self-image is the single most important thing and determining factor in your life that's going to dictate whether or not you win or you lose. But the best part about your self-image is that it's not fixed. You're not stuck with it. It's a choice you make every single day through your environment, through your actions, through your focus, and the story that you tell yourself. So be sure to comment down below your takeaways, your notes, and any thoughts you had on today's video, and subscribe if you found this video valuable. By the way, don't forget to check out the newsletter in the description. And if you're ready to break through your income ceilings, and you want to learn how I took my best month from $12,000 to $92,000 using subconscious reprogramming and manifestation systems that actually produce results, you can apply down below to be mentored by me. I also think you're going to love this other video that I made about manifestation. And that's all I got. All right, family, much love. I'll catch you in the next one.